somebody's going to walk across the green and punch you in the mouth. I mean, stop this. Who knows what happened? Unfortunately, the guy named Nicholas was the guy that was leading. He wasn't going to stumble. Here's a plane ticket. Go get it.
Welcome to the Athletes in Sports podcast. We have a very special guest today. I'm Max Smith. I've got my co-host here, Andrew Dieters. We have a two-time U.S. Open champion.
Before you guys were born.
Before we were born. And now ESPN analyst, Andy North. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, Andy.
So we're out here at the Sanford International Minnehaha Country Club in Sioux Falls. We got the trophy behind us. We got the 18 green behind us. Andy, how does this, feel just being on site at a PGA? I know it's the Champions Tour event, but just does it kind of bring you back to your playing days?
Well, I think this is our 8th year, and when we got this started, we wanted to do something great for the community. Sanford is so involved in youth sports and other things in the community that we thought this would be a great way to showcase Sioux Falls. Well, they're getting the place beautiful.
Yep, they're getting it ready.
Yeah, getting it ready to go. So we want to do something that give back to the community a little bit and get people to have the opportunity to see really quality golf. And when you get out here and watch these guys play, they can still really play, and it's been really fun.
Well, in the parking lot, I mean, we're seeing names like John Daly, Retief Goosen, Tom Lehman.
Well, that's the coolest thing about the Champions Tour, that when you come on as a rookie, you're a star.
Right.
Everybody knows who you are. You get the class of rookies on the regular tour, you don't have any idea who these guys are unless you're really a big college golf follower type guy.
Right.
So it really is a great opportunity to, I think one of the things I get such a big kick out of is that you'll see dads out here with their 10 and 12-year-old kids. This was my hero when I was at your age. It's Ernie Els or it's Retief or it's one of those guys. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I think that's big part of like our InSports Foundation is to be able to show the next generation and the youth like what we saw growing up and just like the great things that sports and golf teaches you. I guess like what are some of those key things that you take from being around the game of golf just in your everyday life?
Well, I think that one, not being a team sport, this is really a lot different. You can't go tackle the guy who's making a 20-foot putt to beat you. You've got to.
Even though you might want to sometimes.
Yeah, there's sometimes you'd love that. Full contact golf would be quite interesting. But no, it's just a situation where you have to understand yourself. You have to understand how to deal with how your body reacts under pressure. You've got to. You don't have anybody else to help. You're not bringing the left-hander out of the bullpen to pull you out of a jam. You got to figure out how to fix it. And I think those are all great life lessons.
I know Tiger's kind of getting to that age where he'd be eligible for the Champions Tour. Has that came up in any conversation of him?
Of course, that's all anybody talks about right now. So he turns 50 in December. It'll be interesting, one, if his body can actually play golf. Mm-hmm. What he's gone through the last 7 or 8 years is just brutal. But he's trying to play a little bit. I don't see him playing a ton out here. Could you get him at your event? Maybe. But I think ideally what he wants to win is a senior U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. He's won the junior, he's won the U.S., he's won the amateur, he's won them all. He'd be the first guy to win every one of them, which would be pretty cool. I would suspect that's something. He can use a card out here, which would be helpful to him, but you can't use the card in the senior majors. So, I don't know how much we'll see him. It'd be nice to get a chance to him to go to some place that he's never been before.
Right.
But at the same time, I just don't know if it's in the cards.
Definitely. So Andy, let's kind of take it back for your career. Who got you into golf? Have you played your whole life, or was it something that you kind of picked up?
I got into the game kind of backwards. As a kid, played every sport you could play, which is not typical, especially back then when you just left after breakfast and you came back at dark, and whatever you did during the day you did. I had a bone disease in 7th grade. Had to instead of having an operation, we went non-weight bearing for 2 years.
Okay.
So I was actually on crutches for 7th and 8th grade. And I took a list of sports into the doctor, and no. Oh, golf. If you ride a cart and you use your crutches as much as you can, yeah, I'll let you do that. He wasn't a golfer, had no idea the torque I was going to be putting on the joint that was problematic.
Right.
5 knee operations since then, but that's how I got in. And I had nothing else to do, and at that time in your life, it was the end of my life. I thought. The worst thing that I could have ever imagined happening turned out to be, positive. So it's, the stuff I talk to the kids about, and you never know, and make the best of whatever situation you've got, and you never know when it might be something that's really good.
Yeah. Because awesome. what were those sports that you had to give up because of?
I played I ran track, played baseball, played football, played basketball, whatever. I was able to come back and play volleyball and basketball afterwards in high school, but never could play football again. But it's just, you never know. And I think that how you handle those kind of things, I jumped in full speed, and that's all I did, was practice and play for those couple of years. And time I got to high school, I was pretty decent.
And was golf in Wisconsin popular for the youth?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always been, you look at kind of the hardcore golf areas, everybody talks about Florida and Texas and California. You look at Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, we've had some great players come out of there. And the passion of the Midwest golfer is different than East Coast, West Coast, South. That, you only know you've got so many days. And if wind's blowing here in Sioux Falls at 30 miles an hour and it's 55 degrees, you still go play.
Yep.
If that happens in Florida, you sit around and say, it'll be nicer tomorrow. So, it's a little different mentality, and the people love the sport here, and they get out and get after it.
I've heard you talk a lot about like that resilience piece of just being from a Midwest boy from the middle of Wisconsin, then heading down to Florida and meeting some of those Southern golfers. Yeah. Do you think that resilience piece was really one of the key things in your career?
I think so. It was like I just mentioned, there were days at when I was in college that it'd be a little chilly and windy, and guys wouldn't go play. I said, "Are you kidding me? It's a beautiful day. You're putting shorts on and let's go." Yeah. And I think, these are, all the experiences you have playing junior golf, and the guys you meet, and the guys I played junior golf are the guys that you've played golf with the last 50 or 60 years. They're some of your best friends, friendships that have been 50 or 60 years. Just the fact that the competition and the growing up, I went on the road at 15 years old, and, you travel by yourself, trying to figure it out a little bit. Here's a plane ticket, go get it.
Yep.
And
go shoot a good score.
It's a little different than today's world, and I think what we grew up in was probably better.
And what advice would you give parents these days that have young kids that are playing sports, because it has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And if you were to give any advice to those parents?
Well, I think the most important thing is that they need to be playing multiple sports. They need to play every season. They need to play another sport. It's good for their development. It's good for muscular development. It's good for social, mental. If you're playing an individual sport, I think it's really important to play a team sport. Mm-hmm. That being a good player on a bad team is a really valuable lesson. Being a player that never plays on a team is a valuable lesson, and how you deal with all those kind of things. And I think the competitive nature of a team sport really helps you as an individual.
Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the InSports Foundation. At InSports, we're all about helping kids get more involved in sports. We do this through providing free camps, scholarships, and team sponsorships, all to help reduce the cost of sports and getting more kids into the game. Through sports, kids can learn valuable life lessons, stay active, and maintain their mental well-being. To support our mission and help us get more kids into the game, visit our website at insportsfoundation.org to make a donation. Together, we can make a difference.
What about like the uber competitiveness that youth sports has gotten to these days, and like the traveling the country and only playing that one sport and specialization?
Yeah,
Talk a little bit more about that.
It's gotten to be crazy. Mm-hmm. It really has. You don't know if little Johnny's going to be any good at anything at 12 years old. Seriously, you don't. You don't have any idea. just because he's maybe bigger, stronger, faster at 12 because he's matured earlier than some of the other kids doesn't mean he's going to be any good. And to have the opportunity to play a lot of sports, you might stumble into something you really like I did, totally by accident. So, it's the amount of money that's being spent on kids that have no chance to being really good. They need to be playing locally with their friends. They need to be out in the backyard playing football with their buddies, and growing up that way versus being in a car or an airplane going 12 hours or 16 hours to play against some team that is from 10 miles from their home. It's silly. It really is silly.
And the amount of pressure that it puts on the kids too, and to not even allow them be kids.
The parents are the crazy folks here. Get your kids involved in stuff and then get out of the way and leave them, let them go. They've got to figure this out on their own. Nothing irritates me more than watching these 12 and 13-year-olds that after every play they look to their parents. Are you kidding me? Pay attention and get into the game and play the game and don't worry about them. But the parents have made it about the parents instead of the kids.
Right.
And now you've got a couple kids?
I've got 2 growing daughters, 1 granddaughter. Yeah.
Okay.
My kids are older than you guys, so there you go.
But they played multiple sports growing up?
They played as much stuff as they could, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, are you still playing golf?
Not very well. I'll play once in a while. I don't play very much. This week will be the most golf I play all year long. I'm going to play in a couple of the events, playing the Pro-Am. Then we do our thing on Saturday afternoon. So, my body is broken down and it doesn't work very well. And there are days I can still go out and hit it around halfway decent. The next day you can't even get out of bed, so there's part of that.
When golf is so, we always hear like 90% of golf is mental, right between the ears. What, were there certain tips or tricks throughout your career that really stuck with you on the mental side?
I don't think there's any, secret sauce. You sort of have to figure it out, and everybody's different. What worked for you it may not work for me. And, that's why competing in different sports, competing in as many tournaments as you can to one, learn more about you. That's important. And 2, to figure out when something bad happens, how do I react and how do I focus on how I'm going to get there? You can read all the books and have all these people that help you, but you still have to figure it out yourself.
And go do it. Can you talk a little bit about like the Northway and the new AI program that you're in?
We've been working on this golf app for, good God, it's over 2 years now. We're hopefully going to get it released here pretty soon. It's going to be voice activated. So you walk down the fairway, you get to your tee shot, and in your watch or your phone, hey, Andy, how far do I have? And I'll come back, hey, Max, you've got 148 yards, but it's into a 20-mile-an-hour wind today. Normally you hit 8-iron from here, you probably need to hit a 6 today.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Wow.
So, and the more it gets used, the more sophisticated the data is going to be. So it's going to be really good after you use it a little bit. So we're excited. We think it's so different than anything else in the space. We've got a really cool community aspect of it that your buddies are on a golf trip and you're sitting in the office working. You can join in and add your expertise commentary to what they're doing, that sort of stuff. But it does all the same things that all the other apps do, where you can do tee times and you can buy stuff and you can call the pro shop if you got a problem. But there's some other things, and the voice activated thing is one of a kind. So we think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it looks groundbreaking. That's really cool.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Let's chat a little bit about your U.S. Open wins. What kind of made those wins different than any other?
Well, they were different. Each in itself, they were quite different. In '78, I'd won at Westchester. In '77, I'd played some really, really good golf. Between the win at Westchester and winning the Open, I think I had 4 seconds in that run too. So in a year period, I won twice and had 4 seconds. So I was playing some really good golf, and getting to that Open, it just felt like, this is my next step. I finally won. The next thing is going to be winning major championships. I think I can do that. And that one was sort of I just kind of expected it, you know. I mean, I was really playing great. I finished second the start before, so I was playing really well, and I went out to Colorado early and kind of got used to the altitude and figured out how far it was going, because you know, we didn't have a TrackMan on the range that you hit 4 balls, so this is how far it's going today.
Yeah.
You know, you had to figure that stuff out,
or you didn't have an AI caddy on your phone.
That's exactly right. So you know, that week I had a good week. I played well and I got ahead enough. Then I stumbled in and it was really ugly at the end, but we got it done. So you know, that was really a big changing point in your career. Then I struggled some in between. I had some surgeries and kind of was lost. You know, my goal, I wanted to win the U.S. Open, and you know, when you finally knock down that and you get to what your goal was, now what do you do? And I was lost a little bit. I played okay, but not great, and kind of went through a lot of physical stuff. And then in '85, it was like almost starting over. I hadn't played really very well for a stretch, coming off an elbow surgery. Put in a lot of really hard work the fall before and into the spring, and I played some really, really good golf that year. But the Open was a totally different feel. It was like, you know, you never expected to get a chance to be in that position to do it again, and you did, and it was pretty cool.
Were there any other majors that you got close to winning? I
played well in a bunch of Opens. Never really got to the point where I had a chance the last couple of holes, but a lot of top tens, and I loved the way the Open was played, the mentality of the Open, how the Open was set up, how difficult it was. That fit me. I had a fourth in the PGA one year. I shot a great last round and thought that, you know, you maybe get in and post something, and you know, who knows what happened. Unfortunately, the guy named Nicholas was the guy that was leading. He wasn't going to stumble. No. He wasn't going to look at my name on the leaderboard and, you know, have shivers run through his body. But you know, I didn't play as well in a lot of the other majors. I would have thought that the Masters was a week that I would have really done well. I didn't play great there. It was a really hard golf course for me to navigate up and down the hills physically. Had my knees really struggled that week, but you know, you stumbled around and get a couple of them, and played a lot of them.
Yeah,
so.
I went out there a couple years ago just to a Wednesday practice round, and
crazy.
You do not see that on TV. The
elevation changes are incredible. Yeah, you don't see that, and I'd get shin splints so badly I couldn't walk hardly by the end of the week. So anyway.
Wow. Yeah. What's that feeling like coming up 18 to a U.S. Open? Like this past weekend, I was on a buddy's trip, and like I started gripping it on the 18th with 8 guys watching me putt a 10-foot putt, and obviously missed it. But when you got thousands of people watching you with a tournament on the line, what are you telling yourself?
It's exciting because this is what you worked for. You've worked to put yourself in that position, and you know, you want to see how you're going to handle it. I mean, that is a big process. You know, if you're concentrating well and focusing on what you're doing, it's not that much different than anything else. If you get ahead of yourself a little bit and start thinking about what's out there at the end, that's when you have some issues. And one time I did it one way, and one time I did it the other way. And it's much better if you stay focused and locked into what you're doing. So, but no, winning any tournament on tour is hard. Winning a major championship obviously is really special, and to be able to do it a couple of times is, you know, amazing.
Wow.
Now, you've been in the broadcast world since the early 90s. How has that felt, just transitioning from playing into talking about others?
It was the last thing I would have ever thought we'd do. Got into it kind of by accident. I did an event for ESPN. Someplace they asked, you know, would you be willing to do this? And it was a week I was not doing. Sure, I'll try it. And then the next year, they actually offered me a contract the next year, and I turned it down. Then the next year, Gary Koch got hurt, fell on the ground, broke his ankle, and I filled in for 1 week, and it went reasonably well. And they offered me a contract at the end of that year, and eventually I think 2 years in a row I turned down. I'd just come off another operation. I was rehabbing. I wanted to see if I could play. And then one year, my wife and I sat down and I said, listen, this isn't working. You're having an operation every year. Let's take a year to maybe get your body to heal. Try it for a year. If you don't like it, who cares? You can go back and play. And 32 years later, this is what we're doing. So it's been crazy.
And do you have a lot of tournaments on the schedule this year? Or?
My contract with ESPN is for like about 50 days, 45 or 50 days of on air. I've got 2 more to do, and they're kind of fun ones at the end of the year. We've got a PGA Junior League, which are these little kids in the uniforms and stuff, 9 to 13, I believe, and it's absolutely a riot. It's my favorite week of the year. These little guys can really play. They're playing scramble team format stuff so that they really can make some birdies and shoot some really good scores, and it's really been fun to watch them react. And like a couple of years ago, after the Ryder Cup, when we had the hat issue with Cantley and the whole deal, these kids are holding putts and doing the fake no hat thing, and it's like, seriously, somebody's gonna walk across the green and punch you in the mouth. Stop this. But it's fun to watch them. And then the other event I've got left is a senior Ryder Cup type event where they take a team from the U.S., a team from the rest of the world, and a team from England and Europe.
Yeah.
We did it a couple of years ago and it was really successful. They had a hurricane that washed out the golf course they were going to play in last year, so they're going to go back and do it again this year. So that was fun. That's Ernie was captain one team. Furyk was captain the American team. They're both playing here this week, I guess. So, it was a fun week, and the guys played some great golf, and it came right down to the last hole. Literally, all 3 teams had a chance to win on the last hole.
Oh, that's
Crazy.
awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, you talk about the junior PGA events. I have a son who's 7, and he's starting to get into that youth golf. What would you say? The importance of kids just starting golf at an early age, because it truly is a lifelong sport.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best part of golf, is that given that opportunity, get them some good fundamentals early, and let them just go have some fun. Yeah. And if they don't play college golf or high school golf, big deal. They've got some foundation for the rest of their life that they can go out and, in the business world, go out and play 18 holes with some clients and maybe do some good that way. So, there's a lot of great benefits to it, and you learn a lot about yourself, and you make a lot of great friends through this great game.
No doubt. Did you find something beneficial from this Athletes in Sports podcast? Please share this episode with a fellow athlete, coach, or someone who loves sports to help them reach their next level and help kids get in the game. Talk a little bit about your philanthropy efforts and the Andy North and Friends and all the give back you do to the cancer research.
Well, I think you just look at our sport. I mean, we are first and foremost in raising money for things. And what the tour's done over the years is amazing. And each individual player has their own things that you help support each other. And we've been involved in this now for it's not 16, 17 years, something like that. And we're raising money for our cancer center in Madison, Carbone, which is one of the premier cancer centers in the country. And we've really had a lot of great support, and we've called it Andy North and Friends for a reason. It takes a lot of friends to get together to do this. And, we've raised probably pretty close to $25 million in that period of time. So the one thing that's raising this money is awesome, but then you get it, it's like investing in startup companies. Basically, you invest in a researcher, you give them 50 or 100 grand to do, to try to pursue an idea they're working on. And if they get some numbers that are useful, they can go to the NIH and try to get some grant money. And basically, you give us $1, it's going to turn into somewhere between $12 and $15 at the end of the tunnel. So, you raise 25 grand, 25 million, that's probably going to be close to 250 or 300 million at the end of the day. So it's been really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. No, really cool, and appreciate what you're doing. Our founder, Jennifer Smith, Max's mom, passed away of cancer, and she really was our light to start the foundation too, and allowed us to dream. Just really appreciate the work that you're doing.
Well, it's, there's so many different aspects of life that you can help people in that we thought this is one that we could maybe have the most influence, and the monies could be used in a way that if, it's not just at our place that we're creating vaccines or we're creating ways to fight this. It's going to help everybody. Just because we've spent the money and we've figured it out doesn't mean that it's not going to be used someplace else. And that's really the big part of this.
Awesome. That's awesome. I got a little bit of a controversial topic. Just want to get your stance on what the whole thing with the LIV Tour, PGA Tour, and kind of what your outlook is on that whole deal.
Well, I think we're probably at a place right now that it's where it's going to be. I don't see the two getting together. It seems like every time they seem to be getting fairly close to coming up with some idea, it doesn't work. They've stuck to their guns. They want to be 54 holes. They want to be shotguns. They want to be what they are. That's great. That's not how we view it. And I think there's a real problem is that how do you as a player in our organization support a guy to come back that's turned his back on you and taken a whole bunch of money and gone some other place? I mean, it's not any different than if you work for Sanford and you leave and go to Avera.
Right.
We aren't going to open. Probably aren't going to invite you back.
Right.
You know, but it's you're independent contractors. You have the opportunity to go wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. I think that's awesome. You just can't come back and play both sides of the fence.
Have you seen, just in your experience, the players, because they'll come back and play on Ryder Cups and see each other at majors, are they getting along like normal?
I don't think there's any issues there.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got two governments that are having a problem, but the people are okay. I mean, so many of these guys all live in the same places. They practice the same places. They play a lot together. That's not been a really big deal. I think early on there was a little bit of that, but I think that's well down the road. And if you sign a new deal to go do something someplace else, awesome. That's good for you. But at the same time, don't come back into my game.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it's too bad because the fans need to see the best players playing against each other, but that's what makes the major so special. Now you got all the best there, and those are weeks you watch.
Yeah, no doubt. What about some fun, fast questions? Who is your, let's go with favorite course currently.
I was there last week. They had the Walker Cup at Cypress Point.
That looked awesome.
It's absolutely unbelievable. If you watched any of that, the drone shots of the place, the most amazing shots you've ever seen. It really is a special place, and our guys did great and kept the cup.
How about, other than your 2 U.S. Open championships, favorite memory on the PGA Tour?
Oh, gosh. It's probably off the golf course, hanging with the guys, doing dumb stuff. In 1980, Watson won the Open Championship at Muirfield, and we were having dinner, and most of the Americans were staying at this hotel that's right on the golf course, and it's a place where you had to wear coat and tie to dinner. So we're all Sunday night in there having dinner, and Tom's celebrating Tom. And Crenshaw comes in. He been at some auction. He yells across the dining area that, Tom, I'm gonna challenge you for the claret jug. Let's go. He'd come back with he bought a couple gutta purchase balls. He had some wooden shafted clubs he bought at this auction. And we go to the 10th tee now. This is probably 20 of the top 25 players in the world are out wandering around in coat and tie. Tony Jacquelin's teaching people how to make sand tees, So we all go walking down the 10th hole. Watson's hitting shots and Crenshaw's hitting shots. And we turn around, we're coming back down 18. As we're coming back down 18, the secretary of the club came out and kicked us off the golf course. Now, this is the Open champion and literally 20 of the best players in the world gone. And there was a photographer there, it happened to be there, took a picture, and that was at Muirfield for a lot of years. It was literally the lead picture in the paper the next morning, is that these guys get kicked off, and below the line was Watson wins his whichever Open it was. Yeah,
it sounds like a boys' weekend.
It was
kind
fun.
of deal.
It was a fun deal.
How about your favorite golfer to play with?
There's so many good guys. There's certain guys that I always played really well with. There's some guys I never played well with. You really did. Most of the guys I didn't like to play with were the guys that were slow. And there are, a few of those that you'd see appearing, this is going to be a long weekend, But no, most of the guys are great. I mean, obviously Arnold and Jack and those guys are really special, but, they're guys and, you're out there playing golf. It's perfect.
Yep.
Any guys on the tour right now that you can see a resemblance in your game in?
They're playing such a different type of game. There's getting to be more taller guys, more guys 6'3", 6'4" playing. Which is good, we didn't have as many because the equipment was so heavy. You couldn't play stuff that was long enough. There were very few really good players, of height then. I think they're just all, these guys all do it a little bit differently than we did. It's, we played the game more as an art form. Now it's more power. Most of our guys that were really long got shorter because the ball spun so much. The harder you hit it, the wilder it went, and you're trying to figure out some way to keep it in play. So the game's changed a bit, but it's still, pretty much the same.
Yeah. Andy, anything else that you want to mention that maybe we didn't ask you about that pertains to youth sports, golf, parenting, anything?
Well, I think the big thing is that, this is a week that's going to be, it's a great community event, and you come on out and have some fun and bring your kids. There's a lot of stuff for them to do. You can turn them loose in the kids area and you go down and have a beer and a sandwich off of 17 someplace. But there's a lot of stuff to do here, and it's a nice way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, we're excited. We're sponsoring the InSports Kids Zone out here, and then we're going to do a golf clinic later this afternoon with 100 local youth that don't play golf.
Fantastic.
So we're excited to show them the game and introduce them to the great game.
Absolutely, because you never know, and you might not take it seriously now, but you just get exposed to it, and eventually it's going to be valuable to you.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Andy, thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck this week and weekend.
It's a good week. Get a lot of people out here. It looks like we're going to have good weather. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Really appreciate
it, guys. Thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Athletes in Sports podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more from inspiring athletes, we encourage you to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on all of our social media channels.